Hi.
Hi, welcome to episode 16.
Thank you.
This is my husband, Richard Lockwood.
Hi there. This is Dr. Danielle Lockwood.
Hi.
And this is the Fire Your Doctor podcast.
Fire Your Doctor. Episode 16, Adrenal Fatigue Revisited. That's the title.
Revisited? Did we talk about it once before?
Well, I think what I was implying is that we keep talking about adrenal fatigue. I got to move this closer to my face here.
Great.
We keep talking about adrenal fatigue in the broader sense in the world. Oh, you're adrenal fatigued. That's why you need some adrenal supplements.
Yeah.
But we're going to revisit that, and we're going to give you a deeper understanding of what that actually means.
I think I have a deeper understanding of what it is right now.
Great. Well, we're going to explain it to our audience then. Good.
I mean, I'm experiencing it.
Awesome.
Okay. It's not that awesome, but okay. All right, let's unpack this.
So, what are adrenal glands and what do they produce? Do you know?
I mean, they produce adrenaline and noradrenaline.
Yes.
And cortisol. Yeah.
Yes. So they influence the stress hormones. They also, which we'll talk
They're
about.
kind of on the kidneys, and they're like tiny little veins.
They're kind of pyramidal. They're pyramids. They're little triangle-shaped glands that are on top of your kidneys.
But I mean, they're small.
They're very small. Yeah. There's two of them. One of the things, and I think you talked about this in the book, was how there's disorders like Addison's disease and Cushing's disease, which are actually where the adrenal glands are either overproducing or underproducing those hormones, and you're in what they call adrenal crisis.
Right.
That's very different than adrenal fatigue.
Well, I mean, Cushing's, that'd be too much cortisol, but it's related to the same. Yeah.
Yeah, the feedback system.
Super fun.
So they're sitting on the kidneys. They produce cortisol, adrenaline, aldosterone. What does aldosterone do?
Oh, isn't that, that has to do with water retention, doesn't it?
Yeah, blood pressure.
Okay,
yeah, influences blood pressure.
Okay, yeah. Blood pressure via how much water is in your blood.
Exactly. And then something called DHEA. So DHEA, and so these are actually things that we measure when we're looking at testing. We've got a quote coming up here. I'm going to have you read it. Wow. 184.
Oh. See, the nice thing about quotes is I get to sound smart, even if it's predetermined here.
So you're going to start here, and it ends. This one ends right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The adrenal glands are small, mountain peak-shaped organs located on top of the kidneys. While most people associated them with adrenaline, these glands play a much broader role. They produce and secrete vital stress hormones like cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, and aldosterone. What many don't realize is that the adrenal glands also produce small amounts of sex hormones. In postmenopausal women and middle-aged men, the adrenals become a key source of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Yes, healthy women produce small amounts of testosterone, just as healthy men produce small amounts of estrogen.
Wonderful. So I want to explain the menstrual cycle a little bit in science terms, but I'll try to keep it really simple. The first part of your cycle, so the first day that you actually have a bleed, you are using your adrenal glands to make progesterone. Interesting, right? So the first part of your cycle, your adrenal glands make the hormones. And if you are a woman who's still having menstrual cycles, the second part of the cycle, so the 2 weeks leading up to having a period, you will actually...
Well, wait a minute. If you're starting at menses, wouldn't the first part be like leading up to ovulation?
Yeah, so ovulation to
2 weeks
start
to
of the period.
ovulation, and then the second 2 weeks would be leading up to another menses.
Yes, correct.
Okay, there we go.
So before you actually hit the period, those 2 weeks is when, because it's ovulation.
Post-ovulation.
Yep, post-ovulation
Okay.
to the bleed is when you will have your ovaries take over if you're in that stage of life.
Okay.
So a lot of people think, well, once I'm post-menopause, I don't make these hormones anymore, or I have no way of making these hormones. But the truth is you do have a way of making these hormones, because hormones like progesterone, there's receptors for that hormone all over the body, all over the nervous system, the heart tissue, the liver. There's many places in the body that contain a receptor that needs progesterone. So it's not just your ovaries that need progesterone. In fact, men need progesterone too. Fun fact. Okay. So why is that important? Well, when we're talking about perimenopause, or we're talking about menopause, or we're talking about hormones going down, we want to have people have a good experience with that instead of completely crashing off the other side of a cliff, because they are so low in their hormones that they're not able to ease into that period, ease into that transitional period. So the adrenal glands are very important in that case, and most people are pretty worn out.
Are we talking perimenopausal or just like?
In general, okay. I have patients in their 20s who have very high stress hormones, and I would say they're in a kind of adrenal fatigue picture. Maybe they just finished college, or they just, wrote a dissertation or whatever. They might still be in their mid to early 20s, and I'm already seeing the early signs of burnout. Speaking of burnout.
Yeah. No. Can you give us a quick, just quick, easy definition of adrenal fatigue?
It's more of a functional way that a person gets very, very exhausted. It's oftentimes hard to measure. So it's more used as a person's coming in, they're very tired. They're, maybe their sex drive is going down. They're having issues waking up in the morning, feeling rested throughout the day. What am I missing?
I would define adrenal fatigue as, well, essentially, like any other drug, you're going to develop a tolerance. So what happens if you're starting out with 1 cup of coffee in the morning and next need 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it just kind of stops working? Adrenal fatigue is that point where the coffee just kind of stops working. Functionally, what that would show up as is really high cortisol. So when we think of adrenaline is kind of like the high. That's the fight or flight. That's the rush of, going skydiving or something like that, or having like a really, really high stress deadline at work and you got all this adrenaline going. What we don't understand in kind of pop culture, so adrenaline is well understood in pop culture. What is not well understood in pop culture is the hangover drug for adrenaline, and that would be cortisol.
Yeah.
So cortisol would be that anti-inflammatory drug that your body has naturally, but over time you can actually start to become inflamed if you get too much cortisol. Yeah. And then it's basically going to put your body into this kind of like recovery mode, like I'm going to recover from a dangerous attack or something. So you start to like gain weight. It starts to affect your metabolism because your body's like, if I'm getting attacked every day, I better store fat. There's body types that will start to develop. So even kind of like a Cushing's disease kind of picture. So lots of weight retention in the midsection, loss of muscle mass in the arms and legs. You'll get a development of kind of like fat deposits, adipose on the back of the neck sometimes.
It's called buffalo hump.
Yeah. And so it's kind of just this picture. If you've ever seen the movie, the original Despicable Me, the guy in that movie is Gru. Yeah. Where he's got this big kind of,
chest,
barrel shaped body, like no neck, and just like tiny skinny arms and legs. That would be kind of that adrenal fatigue picture. So it's not really like a beach body, fortunately, but that's the picture of a body that is in kind of that fight or flight and defense from injury kind of mode for a long period of time.
So when cortisol is running for a long period of time, you can actually, when you're measuring the cortisol, it can show that you have no cortisol too. So you can eventually burn yourself out so much and be depleted of so many hormones that you could have no cortisol. And that's pushing into that like Cushing syndrome, as you were describing.
I thought Cushing's was too much cortisol. Or you're just saying Cushing's has ran its course and you're just depleted.
Yeah.
And then you don't have
to the other side.
You don't have a CAR. So cortisol awakening response. And so then you start thinking about it and you're hearing about this and you're like, cortisol sounds terrible. But it's like, no, you actually need cortisol to respond to the stress of daily life.
You're jumping ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why is cortisol
I didn't
good?
read the notes.
Let's actually just talk about it, I guess, since we're here. Let's
Okay.
just talk about it. The upside of cortisol is that regulates inflammation,
Yes.
stabilizes blood sugar,
Yes.
fuels the stress response. Like, you need to have a stress response. The downside, when it's chronically elevated, it disrupts sleep, immunity, and hormones.
Right. So your cortisol awakening response, what we want to see is we want to see that cortisol spike right in the morning when you wake up, because your body went from hopefully blissful, restful sleep to waking up, got to take on the day, got to go to work, got to meet daily needs of survival, things like that. So you're going to get this big boost of cortisol to kind of get you through that stress of going from your nice warm bed to, oh, I got to go to work.
Yeah.
So
the quote is, your
okay.
hormones don't care whether you're fighting Vikings or constantly under work-related stress. Cortisol is the go-to hormone in either case. In a sense, hormones act like drugs your body gives itself. In either case, cortisol is the go-to hormone in either case. In a sense, they act like drugs in your body that your body gives itself. And like any drug, the more you use it, the more tolerance you build. Constant stress leads to a never-ending cycle of adrenaline and cortisol. Since cortisol can stay in the body for days, your stress hormone levels can continue to rise. Meanwhile, the cells in your body begin to downregulate their receptors in an attempt to protect themselves from internal damage. As a result, the body releases even more cortisol to produce the same effect. This creates a vicious cycle similar to the process of the insulin resistance that we discuss elsewhere in the book.
Right. So we all think of adrenaline as being, but many times a lot of people would consider adrenaline kind of a positive experience depending on the context. But whereas the adrenaline dump could last minutes or seconds, the cortisol is going to last days. And so in kind of centuries past, what you might get as an adrenaline kind of experience would have a very clear objective beginning, middle, and end. My village was attacked. Well, either we won or we lost. And if we lost, it's probably not my problem anymore because I'm dead. So I won. So the attack is gone. And now I've kind of proved to myself and my village that I can defend us in that event. Whereas like modern stress is like very nebulous. It's like traffic. Traffic is never going to be gone.
Yes.
Work deadlines, it's like, well, once you're the person that solves work deadlines, then you're the one that gets more deadlines because you made it happen. And so it just ends up being this kind of never-ending cycle. And so stress management in the modern world is highly relevant in our patient population.
Absolutely.
Cool.
There is one other piece, because if you get too depleted, it will actually start depleting you at the cellular level, at your actual cells itself. Inside each cell, they contain hundreds, if not thousands, of these things called mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of the cell, if you remember from biology class.
Organelles.
Mm-hmm. And when we have the mitochondria fueling the cells, eventually we're going to get dysfunction show up. That can look like fatigue, brain fog, hormonal chaos.
Right.
So what is it? Is it adrenal fatigue or is it an actual cellular deficiency? That's where something, especially when we have a chronic infection going on, it most likely is a combination of the two, right?
Sure.
There's a compensation, but with the mitochondria, they're not making enough energy. And why is that? Well, when, for example, let's just use the example of mold, okay, or a virus or a chronic illness coming into the body. It turns your functional mitochondria, your powerhouses that make energy, vitality, they help you thrive, they help you recover from, a workout. Those are called functional mitochondria. Then there's dysfunctional mitochondria. Basically, they turn into survival mode and it creates an energy lockdown in the system. And that response is called cell danger response.
Okay, yeah.
And we do talk about that in the book. It's Dr. Navio? Yeah, Navio, I think is his name. He's out of Stanford, I believe.
Wow.
And that phenomena is so interesting to me because even when we've taken the toxins out of somebody's system or we've helped them recover from the illness, we have to get that mitochondria then to switch from that dysfunctional state where it's like alarm systems, all hands on deck, to that functional mitochondria, get that energy back, vitality, and help us feel like we're going to thrive again.
Well, they're also talking about cell danger response with, with psychological trauma as well, though.
Oh, you can. You definitely can. I think the easiest thing to locate, though, is physical trauma, toxins, chronic stress. It just basically freezes your cells into a defensive mode.
Right. Right. And this is just kind of highlights one of those things where we can have head knowledge, but biologically there's still things going on within the body that need addressed as well.
Yes. We talked about that. Yeah, okay. Most cells contain 1,000 to 2,500 mitochondria. Sorry. Hundreds, if not thousands. But like if a cell has a lot of like a higher energy demand, for example, like a muscle cell or like a heart cell or even sex organs like, ovaries, sperm.
There's a lot of
all those things.
I'm going to leave a lot on the table here as far as jokes, but hey.
So the mitochondria, this is from page 184 in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Mitochondria also play a role in immune function and detoxification by releasing substances that will then trigger the CDR, the cell danger response. It's the body's defense mechanism against trauma or toxic exposure, helping to protect and heal the body. And the CDR is supposed to be a temporary state that reverses independently, but in cases where the CDR lingers on, it can produce numerous health effects. Okay. So what are the risks of an ongoing cell danger response? Free radicals inside the cell, damage to the DNA of the cell, metabolic disorders like diabetes and insulin resistance, gut microbiome imbalances, behavioral changes. This kind of goes with psychological, ADD, asthma, autism spectrum, Tourette syndrome, bipolar, autoimmune diseases such as lupus, rheumatoid arthritis or multiple sclerosis, cancer, heart disease, chronic inflammation, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. So again, if there's some debilitating disorder going on in some ways, that's going to keep it in this constant alert state as well, which will show up very similar to the way that that adrenal fatigue is.
Aren't there some processes, though, with the cell danger response that it can become self-reinforcing, though?
Yeah, it almost gets stuck. And in a lot of our patients who come in, especially if you've maybe addressed one part of the illness, for example, you've addressed the mold toxicity, but you haven't completely cleared out the Lyme, you haven't put that into remission, they're continually going to stay in that CDR state.
Okay. So you're still working on just the proximal cause of why they're in CDR, not necessarily getting them out of CDR.
Well, we are working on getting them out of CDR. In fact, one of the ways that we've been doing that is we've been upping our prescriptions for alpha lipoic acid. Works really good to get people out to help their mitochondria. It's also, we use a product called Essential N, which is a phosphatidylcholine. Yeah. And that helps to repair the membranes of the mitochondria. So you know how you hear leaky gut? There's also leaky brain. And there's also leaky mitochondria, which is kind of weird.
Well, that's fun.
And so you're leaking out all these nutrients that are coming through the body. So some of that needs to be repaired. So yeah, we definitely work on that.
Are we talking sodium potassium pumps or what exactly?
No, I'm talking about the phospholipid bind.
No, I know, but those are that's the sodium potassium pump that's creating the gradient for an action potential. Or that's more nerves.
Yeah, it's more for a nervous system response or a muscle reflex.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was fun.
We're getting nerdy here.
Okay, so...
Actually, fun fact.
Yeah, great. Fun
when
fact.
my wife, who is present here...
Hello.
When we were dating, I made a joke about mitochondria, and she told me that mitochondria were, quote, mitochondria are my jam. So now she's been outed. I
love mitochondria.
And so we got married.
Yeah.
And that's
how he won me over.
It's...
Mitochondria are my jam.
Yeah, well,
they really are. Actually, there was a colleague, you know who you are, who, if you're listening to this, you will know that I said that to her as well when I met her, and she was like, "We can be friends."
I think I know. I'll ask you afterwards. I don't want to out her on camera, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yes, exactly. Why? Okay, so let's paint the picture of this patient coming in. We're a little scattered today. Maybe our mitochondria needs some fueling.
Oh, mine do. I'm like, they're like, "Oh, you're in healthcare. You must be really healthy." And I'm like, okay, so I was up at 4 a.m. and now I'm recording a podcast. Anyway, whatever.
Yes.
No, let's go on.
Here we go. So let's recap. So let's describe this kind of adrenal fatigued patient / mitochondrial fatigued patient who's chronically sick, not feeling good,
right?
Pancake on the floor, sex drive is low.
Yep.
Maybe having trouble losing
metabolism
weight,
starting to slow down,
gaining weight.
Yep.
Just not
particularly midsection weight.
Yep.
It's like
absolutely. So that's
gain some weight
this
in my arms
patient.
here too.
Now they come to a functional medicine doc who's just like, you know what you need to do is you need to exercise.
Oh.
And
okay.
One problem is that when you're in that state, especially when you're in that chronic adrenal fatigue state, you actually don't feel very good after you exercise. You'll crash. You actually go take a nap and then
This sounds pretty good.
over and then it will backfire and it will basically stall out your ability to recover. Did you know that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, so when we're talking about adrenal fatigue and cortisol and like things like that, working out is going to cause an increase in cortisol. So what we're doing when we are exercising is we are causing small amounts of therapeutic trauma to our muscles, to our system, with the idea that our body will mount a response and get stronger so that it is more able to deal with the trauma of having to lift weights or run or go to Orange Theory Fitness at 6 a.m. No, so that all implies that we have the resources to repair and build back better from that exercise.
No.
I know. I'm like,
if you know, you know what that means. Yeah. No. However,
if your body is already in debt,
yes,
then building back better would just really result in a lot more debt. And you wouldn't get the desired outcome of
so you can't just pump more debt into the system?
Right. So if you were already, this health class is really good. We're learning all kinds of things. So the object of working out is like, I'm going to do a little bit of damage and then my muscles are going to get stronger. My lungs are going to get, I'm going to get increased lung capacity. My body is going to produce more red blood cells. I'm going to get a higher VOC so I can deliver oxygen to my muscles more efficiently and like all these things. But that all impinges on me having the energy and the resources to actually not just the energy that I burned, but also to rebuild that energy, replenish it, and replenish all those muscles and red blood cells better than they were before.
Yes. And reminding you.
Not end up in trillions of debt.
Oh, yeah. That. Oh, hey.
Oh. It works both ways, so.
But to go back to the actual thing that we're talking about, when you have adrenal fatigue / mitochondrial dysfunction, your blood sugar is also out of balance too. So there's probably some insulin resistance going on. Now, one of the ways to help with insulin resistance, if you remember from our previous episodes, exercise is really great for insulin resistance, but what if you're so exhausted and so tanked out you can't even do that?
Well, I mean, I think there is a point to physical activity and just kind of getting moving to like prime the pump. I think what we're talking about here is if you have this really just intense adrenal fatigue picture, it's probably not a good idea to just like, you know what, we're hitting it hard. I'm going to go run 5 miles and then go to a cold plunge and go get beat up doing martial arts for 2 hours. It's like, no, it's more just like, hey, let's get moving. Let's work on our sleep. Let's work on our, just our fundamentals. Nutrition would be really important. And then let's get up and walk every day kind of thing.
Yeah.
So moving and then trying to get that adrenal fatigue to just kind of like just getting out of that slowly. There was one other thing. It just slipped my mind.
Well, weight training is really good.
Oh, functionally, what we're seeing in adrenal fatigue. So adrenal fatigue, your body is prioritizing. Oh, I can't make motions. I can't make hand motions or else the camera will get weird. Okay. Your body is going to be prioritizing short-term survival at the expense of longevity and quality of life, right? So in an adrenaline dump situation, your body is, I could die today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's burn all the gas. Let's burn everything. I'm not worried about my mitochondrial health. I'm not worried about my nervous tissue. I'm not worried about my joints. I just want to live through the day. And so when you end up in this adrenal fatigue process where your cortisol's up, adrenaline's been dumped, and you're running low on it, you've just been in this constant place of really, really short-term emergency thinking, which is not going to be good for stability, longevity, and quality of life.
Yeah. Well put. So when we're trying to restore that fight or flight balance, we actually have to retrain the nervous system. And there's tons of studies on this. Prayer.
Well, that can't work.
It does.
No, I know it does.
It really does. Prayer works. Stillness, breath work, gentle exercise. Maybe we might have you do some, 10 minutes of weightlifting and some stretching.
Danny really likes weightlifting, particularly for women peri and postmenopausal, because it has some just like really good effects as far as blood sugar and things like that, adrenal fatigue and estrogen dominance.
Pain reduction.
It's going to move the lymphatics, but what it's not going to do, a lot of times when people get into cardio, so kind of running and stuff like that, they measure their success by how long they are running. And so your body can't sustain that high level of intensity for hours on end for years at a time because you're spending more than you're replenishing. Mm-hmm. And so that's a way that you really like that weight-bearing, weightlifting type exercise where you can get a high level of intensity and also build bone density, especially for women postmenopause and perimenopausal, without that wearing down of our joints and particularly wearing down of those nutrients.
There's a hormonal hierarchy, meaning when the body wants to repair the hormonal system, it's going to do it in an order. The first thing that has to be stabilized is your blood sugar, like number one. The second thing that has to be stabilized is your adrenaline stress response. The third is your thyroid. And finally, then your sex hormones will balance.
Right.
So if you do not have blood sugar balanced, you can never stabilize your stress hormones. Now, are there hormones, sex hormones, that can actually calm down the cortisol response and help replenish some of what cortisol has been stealing, aka adrenaline has been stealing?
I mean, you're a big fan of the progesterone from all the yams.
The yams.
Yams.
Yes, bioidentical progesterone, exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like he hangs out with me all the time and hears
What are we doing with the Oh, actually, this is off script, but so yams are one of those ones that obviously they have a lot of beneficial properties, but being a root, they're also known for some like toxic metals. So like what about the bioidentical and the progesterone creams and stuff? What do you think about that?
Well, I think they're probably, I mean, most of the companies that we're using are testing for, there's an upper limit to the amount of heavy metals that you can have in the system.
I think they peaked in the 80s, and after that, a lot of the heavy metals kind of gone downhill.
Like White Snake.
I know, right? I'll be like rolling around on the hood of a Corvette. Like, we're way off topic.
We do that.
But
we sometimes, for fun, just roll around on the hood of a Corvette.
yeah.
That's how we flirt with each other.
Just not my, I don't want to, like, I don't have a Corvette, but hypothetically, like, please don't roll around the hood. Like, we gotta keep that thing nice.
Scratch it.
I know, don't scratch my paint. Or, like, you gotta, no rivets on your jeans. That's, like, a rule.
Okay.
All right.
In our minds, we're going to roll around on the Corvette like a
okay,
White
cool.
Snake.
Like,
okay, going back over here. If we want to replenish the hormones, we've got to start at the upper, okay? You got the giggles now. What's happening?
no. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just thinking about the White Snake video.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. If
Okay,
you
go.
can answer this, I will give you a high five on camera.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's the girl?
No.
Okay.
But
I
we already
forgot.
talked about this. He was married to the girl. Okay, so
Or did they get married from the video?
They got married from the video. It was so erotic and amazing to
Yeah.
him that he had to marry that girl.
So here Danny and I are over here with Mitochondria as my jam. They're over there with like a Corvette and some girl with the big like 80s blowout with the...
Okay, 4 people comment on the bottom. We won't tell you what it is, but if you've made it this far into the video and or the podcast, comment what White Snake video are we talking about?
Oh, I know. I'm
The
like,
first person
it's
to
playing in my
answer,
head right now.
what do we give them? We
I
give them
don't
a
know.
shout out. We're going to give you a shout out on the next
Okay.
podcast. That's what
Okay.
we're going to do. We're going to give you a shout out. The White Snake video where she's having fun on the car,
Yeah.
dancing, free spirit style to lure him in with her sexual prowess.
Right. Well, that's next episode. Though, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so we are
We're
going
gonna
to talk about that.
So let's talk... Let's
Wait,
go...
wait. I got to quiz you.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought
So-
that was the quiz.
No, that wasn't the quiz. That's the quiz for our audience.
Oh, now it's the quiz
now
for
it's
me.
the quiz for you. We're going back to hormones again. Okay?
Aquanet.
How do we How do we figure out? Because I'm trying to teach them
Okay.
how to rebalance this fight or flight thing. Okay.
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 What if I run?
What is the number one? Like, what is the building block for all hormones? What is something everybody needs to make hormones? The building block for hormones.
Statins. Lipitor.
Oh, you little snake. You little white snake.
No,
No.
I'm teasing her.
What do statins block?
Cholesterol. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah,
cholesterol, recall from
Recall
episode 14,
cholesterol.
which is called Overfed but Hungry. We talked about fats and we talked about the need for healthy triglycerides and cholesterol.
Right.
Why? Because they are the backbone for hormones, neurotransmitters, and cell membranes. If you
Mm.
don't have enough of those, you cannot make hormones. Okay. You do not have the building block to build the house.
Yes.
Okay. What is important then? We need to make sure that you have
Statins.
the ability to actually digest the fats, bile, digestive enzymes, gallbladder health. You can't recover, your adrenals can't recover if you can't make the hormones, right? So you need to make sure the digestion works in order to repair the adrenals. Okay, so this is like deep.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying is that, and what I'm kind of at a deep level, like kind of poking at here, is that a lot of the kind of medical establishment and big pharma is fundamentally wrong in how they're treating people's health, that you could narrowly maybe reduce a cholesterol number on a lab test
As good or bad.
as, and like, look at that, that's good. Narrowly, maybe that's true, but unfortunately it comes with a side effect of creating hormonal disruption because now your body is depleted of cholesterol that it would need to make testosterone, estrogen, etc.
100%. Here's a quote. A 2013 study from the Journal of Molecular and Cellular Endocrinology found that the mitochondria contain enzymes that help the adrenal glands, gonads, placenta, and brain convert cholesterol into compounds that the body then uses to make sex hormones.
Right.
So you see that you're seeing the connection between mitochondria, adrenal, making our happy hormones.
Well,
the research also found 2 enzymes in the kidney cell mitochondria, so specific mitochondria in the kidney cell, that activate the breakdown of vitamin D. Think about that.
Vitamin I don't go outside.
Mitochondria directly influences the production of the mother hormone called pregnenolone, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Pregnenolone is an important precursor to all sex hormones such as estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Without pregnenolone, you will also not be able to make cortisol.
Let's actually...
One more. Hold on. Let me just finish this.
Go, and then...
Just as mitochondria can influence the production of hormones, hormones can influence the health and function of the mitochondria. For this reason, we need to understand both in order to balance the hormonal systems. Okay, let's break that down. What did you hear?
Oh, I heard a lot, but I was also, I was actually thinking, well, I don't want to change the subject here. I'm sorry. No, I was on like basically what you were talking about earlier with the, what does it matter? What do you want us to get out of this? Because I have something else in mind. No, I'm like, I don't want to turn the car the way, because you're like, what'd you get out of it? And I was like, okay, no, I was on a different page.
Okay. As I said before, there's a hormonal hierarchy, right?
Actually, that's where I was going.
Yes, there's
That's
blood
where
sugar.
I wanted to go.
Yep, there's blood sugar. We're going to the same place anyway.
Oh, okay.
Right? There's blood sugar,
Yeah.
then there's the stress hormones, then
Right.
there's the thyroid, and then there's the sex hormones. However, you can use the sex hormones to influence the downstream of that too. That's why replenishing some of these sex hormones, for example, pregnenolone or DHEA, which are needed to make cortisol and to get cortisol to back off and very anti-inflammatory to the body, could be actually the key to helping with your stress levels and the recovery of your mitochondria too.
But that's going to be a more short-term approach, because we also, like, we can't just go top down. We also have to go bottom up.
Exactly.
Because the prime example would be either bioidentical hormones or TRT.
Yeah.
Which actually, the thing that was kind of like ringing in my head was, besides tinnitus, the thing that was really ringing was that the number one thing that our feminine population would come in for would be, I need help with my thyroid. With men, a really common one would be like, I'm worried about my testosterone levels. I want to lose weight. I want to like have performance, and things like that, and stamina, and all of these types of things. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Danny, my wife, is like, well, hey, let's talk about your stress response, and let's talk about this. And they're just like, no, you don't understand. I want to get my testosterone. I want to get my waistline back. I want to get strong. I want to get that kind of, performance like I did like 10, 20 years ago. And you're like, okay, yeah. So as I was saying, let's talk about your blood sugar and your stress hormones.
Yeah, exactly.
And with our feminine population, with our female patients, it's like, my thyroid, this and that, and the doctors tried this and we've tried that. And it's just nothing's really working. And it's like, okay, well, how are we dealing with our stress hormones?
Yeah. Everything.
What are we doing with our blood sugar? And so that's that hierarchy. So that's what was kind of like ringing in my head as you were like saying this stuff. And so I guess we ended up at the same place.
Great. I'm so happy.
Okay.
I'm so happy.
So the thing that you want, we're going to get there.
Yep.
We can't necessarily get there unless it's just, okay, yep, here's your prescription. Thanks. Have a good day. And you could get that at Zoom Care. What you really want, though, is you want to solve all of these underlying things that are going to give you that full, rich life experience. It's kind of like if you're painfully single and you're just like, if I just had the right relationship, it's like, well, no, I want to get my career in order. I want to get my relationship in order. I want to wake up in the morning. I want to feel happy and fulfilled in my life. And it's like, if I just tack a relationship onto dissatisfaction in life, now I've got bigger problems.
Man, we could do a whole episode just on that.
So with that analogy, you're coming in for your thyroid. You're coming in for, hey, man, I want to get my waistline back, get my muscles back, get my testosterone up. And it's like, well, what we're going to do is a full hormonal transformation from the ground up.
Absolutely.
And then by that time, you will have a body that naturally supports a healthy thyroid, that supports healthy testosterone levels.
Yeah, so we want it to trickle from the top down to make sex hormones,
Yes.
but we also might need to use sex hormones to get it to trickle down from the top down.
Yeah, if we just start building a house and we don't have any foundation at all, we don't have any groundwork done, it's like it's just going to start falling over as we're like pounding nails or, you know. And so that's really the complete picture, because if we did solve that thyroid problem, but we didn't solve all these other issues, you wouldn't really get what you want.
Absolutely. I have two things to say. The other thing is, first thing is, there is basic, I mean, this is simple, but we want to go to like the sexy thing. We want I want the bioidentical hormones.
I know, I just TRT and I'm going to be jacked.
Let's just do it. Let's just
awesome.
get jacked.
But I feel like trash every day.
But if you don't have enough B vitamins, magnesium, C, and healthy fats, you can inject it all day long. You're just going to end up in a roid rage because your liver can't handle it. It literally can't handle it. So I have people that get on the TRT and they're like, yeah, this is great for a while. And then the body's still blocked and clogged and doesn't know how to process it. And you just have to keep going up and up to get that same result with the TRT.
Right. So that's exactly what I'm getting at, is that we have our kind of like, so going back to the analogy of a relationship, you have your proximal or your kind of nearby pain point. Like, you know what, I'm lonely and I want a fulfilling, like I want a husband or a wife, somebody I can share my life with. And it's like, that is a great goal. But it's like, in order to kind of fulfill that, number one, speaking of prayer, but number two is like, there's going to be some groundwork we've got to do. I've got to be the type of person that can receive that and be in that relationship and like make that work for me.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just start kind of going back to the hormones at hand, if I just have bad fundamentals and I start putting TRT on top of that, or, I've got thyroid issues, so I just start putting like, whatever, Armour thyroid or whatever it is on top of that, I'm still going to have all those underlying issues that are still working in the background to undermine my progress.
Yes, and that's why a principle of naturopathic medicine is docere, doctor as teacher. Much of what we do in the office is reprogramming bad science, honestly, and teaching them why we're doing what we're doing. I heard you. I understand your thyroid's an issue. We have to, as part of that picture, we've got to work on your stress.
Your blood sugar again.
Let's talk about your blood sugar again.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this, because the truth is, you want me to solve the actual problem. You don't want me to put a Band-Aid on it all the time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, yes. But most docs, in the conventional world, they've got 5 minutes with you. Like, they don't have time to investigate all that. And I'm not sure if they actually remember or understand the hormonal charts, like, at this point. It's like, pull out a diagram.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So right now, the scientific method of kind of just like, I'm going to set up an experiment, I'm going to test my theory, test my hypothesis, I'm going to get a result, and then that is going to be this gold standard for objective reality and human experience. And sort of, sure, you could get an objective kind of thing. I jumped off this ledge and I fell. We can learn about gravity. That's great. There's limits to science, though, and particularly when we're talking about what some good friends of mine call complex systems. So one of those limits when you're dealing with a complex system is that the idea of a scientific experiment is that I am going to limit the variables that I'm testing. If I put 1,000 variables into this bucket that is my experiment, it's going to be really hard for me to tell what actually made the difference in my control and my kind of study group and all of this stuff. The problem with the human body is that if we reduce ourselves to these very simple experiments with very clear answers, that we can miss a bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can reduce, most people that got heart attacks had high cholesterol. Therefore, if I give you a drug that is proven to lower cholesterol, and then so all of that is, okay, so people that have heart attacks generally have higher cholesterol than we'd like. Okay, that's true. Here's where the theory gets into it that hasn't really proved out in this example. And that's if we lower their cholesterol, we're going to lower their risk of heart attack. And it's like, we haven't really seen that prove out because we're dealing with a complex system where heightened cholesterol numbers are kind of a side effect or a symptom of what's going on. They're not an underlying cause of what's going on.
Correct. High cholesterol does not mean heart attack. High cholesterol means the body is stressed, imbalanced, and not digesting its fats.
When you're
There's
probably
a blood
eating
sugar issue.
bad food.
There's,
too.
all of that.
So the point is that when we're talking about this, a standard practice physician could say something like, well, this is scientific and this is research and this is that. And it's like, that's all good and plenty, but there are limits and a lot of blind spots in that scientific method that is very reductionist and trying to make everything as kind of simple and testing only one thing at a time.
Yeah. So God designed your body with both a stress response and a restoration mode. Neither is wrong. But we were never meant to live stuck in stress. Just as mitochondria move between energy and defense, our spiritual life moves between striving and trust. Healing requires learning how to return to Him.
I like that.
Isn't that nice? And the quote for today comes from Matthew 11:28-30, and it's the Message translation. Are you tired, worn out, burnt out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I don't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. I love it.
That sounds good.
It's wonderful. Yes, the best time I have is when I get to go just sit with God and let Him pour into me. It's a wonderful gift. It really is.
Come unto me, all ye who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, it's actually this turned out pretty good. It started off weird, but
It's a typical Lockwood move.
All right.
We're a little weird, but we're going to come full circle on it. So, and adrenals.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
We'll see you on the next episode.